Hey gamers, Metroidvania is a subgenre of action-adventure games where you explore a connected world, unlock new abilities, and use them to access new areas. The name comes from Metroid and Castlevania, two classics that started it all. And in this video, I'm breaking down the 25 best Metroidvania games that are too good to be forgotten. So, let's jump in! Before we go into the list, I want to tell you about my favorite place to buy games, and that's Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an awesome site for grabbing games at great prices. Not only they always have fantastic discounts, but also they running giveaways you won't want to miss. Seriously, these deals are hard to beat. Where else are you gonna find prices this good? Why pay full price when you can grab the same game for way less? Right? Yeah, you can shop for games on all kinds of platforms, like PC, PS5, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. No worries, it's 100% legit, fast, and super easy to use, and their support team is available 24/7. So what are you waiting for? Go check out your favorite games by using the link in the description below, and start saving your cash with Instant Gaming. And by using my link, you're not just getting awesome deals, but also supporting this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Forged in Shadow Torch is a Metroidvania game where you play as Raiden, a former soldier rabbit with a giant iron fist. The game world has a dark diesel punk style and is filled with robot enemies you'll have to face. Combat is intense and satisfying. You can use 3 weapons, fists, a drill, and a whip. Each one has its own combos and unique abilities, and you're free to mix and match your fighting style. I might complain a bit about the backtracking, especially since the teleport system isn't the best. Even so, the action moments are still super addictive. Shadow Complex Remastered. Super popular back in the day, but nowadays there might be a bunch of games that outshine it in terms of quality and innovation. This game offers a 2.5D touch, and sometimes you can shoot enemies that are in the background. This makes the action feel more engaging compared to typical Metroidvania games. The graphics, honestly impressive for a 2009 game. Smooth movement animations, awesome explosion effects, and intricately designed levels keep you hooked on exploring. I really wish Shadow Complex would get a sequel. There's so much room for improvement, and I absolutely love that 2D shooter vibe it's got going on.
Welcome. You don't look like a killer to me.
Monster Sanctuary is an awesome pick if you're into a sweet mix of monster collecting, RPG elements, and Metroidvania style exploration. I really like the combat system. It's fun and the difficulty feels fair. You get plenty of chances to get stronger, but it's not like Pokemon where you can just walk into the final battle and win by spamming your strongest moves. You have to actually build a coherent team and strategize in the battles to win later in the game. This is one of my all-time favorite monster taming games and my first introduction to the Metroidvania genre. I'd recommend it to anyone who loves both of these genres. It really is a solid Metroidvania, and definitely worth picking up. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom might look like a cute, colorful 2D game, like something you'd think is just for kids at first glance. But don't let the art style fool you. Underneath all that charm is a seriously challenging game, especially when it comes to its clever environmental puzzle design. The gameplay keeps things fresh with character transformation mechanics, so you're never stuck playing just one way. Each form comes with its own unique abilities, and they're all super well crafted. You've got smart puzzles, satisfying backtracking moments, and a massive world to explore. Almost every room forces you to think, remember what powers you've unlocked, and figure out how to use them to move forward. Astalon. Tears of the Earth totally takes me back to those old school games from when I was a kid. The pixel art style is simple, but the gameplay is seriously solid. In this game, you play as 3 characters: Aria, the close combat expert, Algus the wizard, and Quietus the long-range archer. Each one has unique skills you'll need to explore the Tower of Serpents. And just like a true Metroidvania, you can't unlock everything right away. You have to know when to switch characters and when to backtrack to old areas to open up new paths. The world is huge and full of puzzles, so smart character switching is key to progressing. Sure, sometimes it gets a bit annoying having to return to campfires just to swap characters, but overall, it's a lot of fun. Aeterna Noctis is a Metroidvania game that really stands out for its insanely tough difficulty, especially when it comes to the platforming. We're talking traps everywhere, super tight timing, and gameplay that demands serious precision. That's if you're playing on hard mode, but honestly, even on normal, it's already pretty challenging. It strikes a good balance for players who want to enjoy the experience without constantly feeling frustrated. Aeterna Noctis is easily one of the coolest Metroidvania games I've ever played. The gameplay is fast-paced, the art style is unique, and the cutscenes are beautifully animated. The world feels handcrafted with an insane level of detail. Afterimage is a Metroidvania game that takes you into a magical world called Ungarden, filled with mystery, beauty, and epic battles. This game has the biggest map out of all the Metroidvania titles I've ever played, even bigger than Aeterna Noctis and way larger than Hollow Knight. Honestly, it gets a bit tiring when you have to backtrack to find all the locked away secrets. Thankfully, the combat system stays fun. You can equip 2 weapons at once and switch between them smoothly. Each weapon has its own unique style, and the hit lag makes every strike feel heavy and satisfying. So, who here hasn't tried this Metroidvania yet? The Messenger. Who hasn't heard of this game? It's a 16-bit action platformer with fast moves, ninja sword attacks, and challenging platforming. At first, it feels like a classic ninja platformer. You play as a ninja who's gotta jump around, throw shurikens, and climb mountains to deliver an important scroll. But once you hit the middle of the game, it totally shifts into a full-blown Metroidvania with an open-world designing and deep exploration. The atmosphere, music, and comedy all were on point, with a story that caught my attention. Probably one of my favorite video game soundtracks ever. If you played the original Death's Gambit back in 2018 and weren't too impressed, you really need to check out Afterlife. It's basically a whole new game and a massive improvement. First off, the movement is way smoother and faster. You're not this slow, clunky fighter anymore. It's like they took a 2D Souls-like and mixed in some Metroidvania magic, making exploration way more fun and smooth. Oh, and they finally added a map. Huge win if you're like me and get lost easily. That's 40 boss fights in total, each with new rewards and challenges, some requiring crazy strategies like defeating a boss using only a ground slide attack. Yup, it's that hardcore. All in all, Death's Gambit Afterlife is a must-play if you like dark fantasy, tough but fair combat, and a rich world to explore. Salt and Sanctuary is a solid mix between Metroidvania and Souls-like. So yeah, you'll be exploring a massive map full of hidden paths, all while facing off against brutal bosses that totally scream Souls vibes. The 2D combat brings that signature Souls-like challenge, with rolling, blocking, and heavy attacks that you really need to master. The bosses is where the Souls-like element really hits hard. Every boss fight is tough, and they get even more aggressive when their health drops low. But yeah, it can get frustrating sometimes. You can pick from a bunch of different classes and customize your skills however you want. And get this, there are over 600 weapons, armors, spells, and items for you to discover and upgrade. That's wild. Aria of Sorrow isn't just one of the best entries in the Castlevania series, it's also one of the greatest Metroidvania games of all time. This is an outstanding action game that stands alongside Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion as one of the best titles on the GBA. After you finish the game, there's a boss rush mode and New Game Plus. You can even play as Julius Belmont, the last vampire hunter to take down Dracula, and trust me, the fight against Julius in the main game is one of the toughest and coolest moments in the whole thing. But these days, it's better to play it on PC by getting the Castlevania Dominus collection. Axiom Verge is a pixel art Metroidvania that totally nails the genre. You play as Trace, a scientist who wakes up in a strange alien world packed with danger, secrets, and puzzles to solve. Gameplay is also great IMO. I really liked the bosses, and the abilities were all really well conceived. Admittedly, they kinda took the more approach to the weapons, so a number of them feel like throwaways. The narrative is deeper than most Metroid games, with a mystery that continues to tickle the curiosity. The plot is simple, but it keeps you engaged, and the dev nailed the atmosphere through music and visuals. It's really comparable to neither of those games you mentioned, but it's close. I couldn't put the game down and looked forward to playing it till completion, and it's a game I don't mind playing again. Guacamelee pretty much nails everything I love in a game. Addicting combat, tough as nails platforming, great humor, and a well-designed hard mode that actually feels rewarding. Combat also gets a nice upgrade with a few new moves and a lot more enemy variety this time around. As for the platforming, the deeper you go, the crazier it gets. You'll be jumping across eagle-shaped hooks, shifting between dimensions mid-air, and even turning into a chicken to squeeze through tight spots. The game also supports co-op for up to 4 players, which is awesome, until it's not. The more players you have, the harder it is to sync up your moves. Honestly, sometimes it's just easier to go solo and avoid the chaos. The Last Faith can pretty much be described as a mix between Castlevania and Souls-like. Even though it doesn't bring anything super new to the table, the game totally gets what makes this genre fun and addictive. You play as Eric, a mysterious-looking badass who shows up in a world hit by the Scourge, a dark plague that turns people into monsters. There's a ton of weapon options and build variety here. The game uses a dedicated level-up system that really lets you customize your playstyle, whether you want to go full melee, ranged, magic-heavy, or mix it all up. The Last Faith might not be the most original game out there, but it's definitely one of the most fun and well made in the Soulsvania genre. Super Metroid isn't just a legendary game, it's one of the most memorable gaming experiences out there. Even though it dropped back in 1994 on the SNES game, it still feels awesome to play, even for today's gamers. In this game, you can get lost, take the wrong path, and sometimes even stumble into secret areas just by messing around and bombing stuff with the Morph Ball. The sense of exploration is pure joy. It keeps you wanting to dig deeper and discover more. Never played it before? You absolutely should. This isn't just some old school game, it's one of the core foundations of the Metroidvania genre. Blasphemous 2 really focused on polishing the combat. Everything just feels smoother, faster, and more fun to control, and honestly, they did a great job there. I really enjoyed the 3 new weapons, and the mace quickly became my favorite. Smashing enemies to bits with it felt super satisfying every time. The parry system is definitely a highlight here. If you're into fast reaction-based combat, this will probably be your favorite part of the game. But yeah, overall, I had an amazing time with it. The game still looks absolutely stunning. Honestly, some of the best pixel art I've ever seen. Ender Lilies is easily one of the most unique Metroidvanias I've played. The dark emotional vibe really pulls you in, and the combat system is super creative. You play as Lily, a priestess who can't fight on her own, but she summons spirits to do the battling for her, and here you can mix and match spirit abilities and switch between 2 sets on the fly, which makes every fight feel fresh and exciting. The soundtrack is very nice and fits the environment perfectly. There is a wide variety of enemy, boss fights, and mini-boss fights, each of which draw on different skills to beat. You will die a lot, especially during boss battles. It's a fun game, doesn't have much platforming movement like Prince of Persia, so you will be disappointed if you expect anything close to that. Dead Cells? Yeah, it's amazing. No doubt about that. I know it's not exactly a full-on Metroidvania. Most folks see it as one of the best roguelikes out there. Sure, it borrows some Metroidvania elements, but only to a certain extent. You can unlock new skills that let you explore different paths in later runs. But in Dead Cells, every run is different. Random weapons, random enemies, and unpredictable surprises. That feeling when you get an OP build and just steamroll enemies? So satisfying. It's really fun and gives you a great movement flow with the different weapon styles. Not a super easy game, but a solid challenge. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is an absolute gem in the Metroidvania world. It nails fast-paced combat, smooth platforming, and clever level design all in one package. The game got some amazing boss battles. The story never failed to engage me to know what's gonna happen next, got some great puzzles, and just couldn't believe Ubisoft wrote this game. Not to forget mentioning how beautiful the game actually is, such an amazing art design. Ironically, this solid AAA Metroidvania didn't sell well, which is a real shame, because it's honestly a fantastic game, especially if you're into platformers or Metroidvanias in general. If you grew up with classic games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, then Bloodstained Ritual of the Night will instantly make you smile with nostalgia. This game was led by Koji Igarashi, yep, the same guy behind Symphony of the Night. So no surprise it feels super familiar in the best way possible. The movement feels buttery smooth. You've got backdashes, slides, and attacks that really pack a punch. It's kinda like a mix between a fighting game and a 2D side-scroller, and it works really well. The weapons are also very varied. You want to use swords, whips, pistols, or magic. Free. You can mix and match according to your play style. And what's more, each type of weapon has its own unique fighting style. Metroid Dread is a direct sequel to Metroid Fusion, and it's actually pretty beginner-friendly. Here you can mark areas that need specific upgrades to access, so when you come back later, you'll remember exactly where to go. The parry or counter system from Samus Returns also makes a return here, but it's more flexible this time. You can pull off a counter while moving instead of having to stand still and wait for an enemy to strike. This change makes the combat feel way more active and engaging. That said, for longtime fans, you might want to lower your expectations a bit. This isn't the darkest Metroid out there, but in terms of gameplay and smooth controls, it's definitely one of the best. Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition is a Metroidvania game that tells the emotional journey of Ori as they deal with loss and try to restore balance to nature. The story hits hard with cinematic cutscenes and a moving soundtrack that really pull you in. Combat is pretty simple, but the real challenge comes from dodging and using the environment to your advantage. So instead of just mashing buttons, you've got to play smart. The game also offers different difficulty modes. If you're just here to enjoy the story and stunning visuals, easy mode has your back. But if you're a hardcore gamer, there's a one life mode where you have to beat the game without dying even once. Crazy, but awesome if you can pull it off. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is hands down my favorite game of all time. No question about it. It's a true masterpiece in the Metroidvania genre. Even though Metroid had already introduced the idea of a big non-linear world full of backtracking, Symphony of the Night took that concept to a whole new level. It added RPG-style leveling, gear and equipment, spells, familiars, and yeah, the upside-down castle, also known as the inverted castle. This genre quickly became a fan favorite, especially in the indie game scene. And if you've played a bunch of Metroidvania games but never touched Symphony of the Night, man, that's just criminal. Nine Sols is honestly one of the best Metroidvania combat I've ever played. It mixes the tight parry-based combat of Sekiro with the exploration and progression you'd expect from a Metroidvania, and it works really well. The combat feels super satisfying, and the boss fights, they're intense and incredibly well designed. The story kept me hooked, and the characters are actually pretty memorable. Visually, the game looks stunning, though heads up, it can get a bit gory. It's definitely a tough game, but once you get the hang of how the systems work, it becomes super rewarding. Honestly, even if you're not usually into Metroidvanias, Nine Sols might change your mind. It's challenging, yes, but also exciting, immersive, and seriously hard to put down. Hollow Knight? An indie masterpiece you absolutely have to play. Yeah, that's what I think. This game is polished to perfection. From the animation, the music, to the gameplay, everything feels top notch. The world is a visual treat, and the soundtrack? No joke, it honestly deserves to win some awards. The controls are super tight and precise. The more you get the hang of it, the more fun it is to explore. And speaking of exploration, it's super satisfying. There are tons of secrets, hidden items, and creative platforming challenges to keep you hooked. Honestly, I wanted to give the top spot to its sequel, Silk Song, but since the game's not out yet at the time I'm making this video, well, I had no choice. Hollow Knight takes the #1 spot again. And that's it for today. Those were a list of 25 Metroidvania games that are too good to be forgotten. Got a hidden gem I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or discovered a new title to add to your collection, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss future content. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.